Right, Christoph, thank you very much. So we're now going to shift over to the right side of that giant medical holodeck screen, but I'm also going to do something that is pretty much anathema while trying to give a talk over Zoom. I'm going to try, and we hope this will work, that I'm going to actually just share my headset view through the screen. And because there's lag, hopefully this will look decent and it won't cause people to start getting motion sickness. But if it does, I'll tell you to do exactly what I tell my students, which is you should reserve the right to close your eyes. All right, so let me try to share the screen here. And this will just take a moment because I'm sure the headset during all of this has decided to turn off. Bear with just for a second here. And amazingly, it seems to be working. Okay, I'm going to start Medicalholodeck. I am using my virtual desktop. So you can see the screen at this point, I hope. Let me see. Yes, you can. Great. So what I'm going to start with is showing you what is the current abdomen and pelvis, just to refresh your brains a little bit on this. So is this herky-jerky on the screen? Christoph, can you give me a yes or a no so I can hear you?
It's good so far.
Okay, good. Right, so this is the abdomen and pelvis that probably people are familiar with. For those who are familiar with this, I'm not sure if you ever noticed, let me turn off the annotations here. I'm not sure if you ever noticed this long scar here that exists over the abdominal wall. And interesting, you can also see some of the remaining sutures that are in there. So that was an indication that something had happened abdominally. And when I go over to layer number 2, I'm not sure if people have recognized there seems to be a paucity of small bowel. It just seems like there's just too few loops in there. And then by the time we're down at the 3rd level, one of the things that should be striking is what appears to be some masses along the aorta here. So this is in fact a paraaortic metastasis. And interestingly, if you look very closely back there, what you can see are lymphatic vessels, which is not something we normally see in a cadaver. So sadly, this person did have a metastatic cancer of the abdomen. And when I shift to number 4, sadly, during the dissection, it became very apparent that there was a lot of neoplastic material up in the foregut and the midgut region. So in fact, there was no apparent pancreas. It was basically just embedded in tumor and was really not salvageable. The duodenum had been removed, as had portions of the small bowel, the proximal small bowel. And really, this whole area was just not really easy to identify. Up here, you may be able to appreciate some thickening of some of the remaining GI tract, but even that was really hard to identify because all of it was just encased in tumor material. And of course, sadly, also because of all of this, there really was no ability to find any of the biliary tree or the celiac trunk structures. So I'm going to shift this and push this off to the side. And I'm going to show you the latest model that I've been working on. And so let me bring this up over here. So this is a male abdomen pelvis. So unlike the female abdomen pelvis, which was 7 layers, this is 14 layers of really high resolution dissections. And as I shift down to levels 2, you can immediately start appreciating that there's a lot more going on with the small bowel, and 3 as well. And by the time I get down to 4, let me give you a lay of the land here. So what we're looking at, and let me take off these annotations. Here is transverse colon and the middle colic artery. And hiding behind there, we have the stomach and the first portion of the duodenum there. And when I shift on to level number 5, we can really appreciate, you can now see the entirety of the duodenum. You can even see the head of the pancreas and the tail of the pancreas. The hepatogastric ligament has been removed. So what we can see back here is now more of the biliary tree. we can see the portal vein, and you can see all of the branches coming off of the cystic artery. And I'll give it a little bit of a better view in the next model of that. So you can just get in there and see all the little branches of the cystic artery. So this really has a lot more detail in it, a lot more structures that would be taught to the medical students, but as well, this could be used for surgical planning, of course. I'm not sure how everyone would be using something like this, but we use these types of models for training residents who theoretically know their anatomy, but really need a refresher. So there are going to be a number of structures that we don't necessarily teach to our medical students. Now, sadly, this person also did have abdominal cancer. However, it was metastasized to the abdomen, and you can see this at level 7. What I've saved back here is this is another paraaortic mass, and you can also see that I've cut some of the mass up here next to the inferior vena cava. This metastasized from someplace in the external genitalia. So the first thing you see here is a really large mass in the inguinal region, and that was bilateral. And so the result of this was as I was dissecting, I discovered there really was tremendous edema in the external genitalia. So you can sort of make out in the the scrotal wall here, a tremendous amount of thickening. And as I get down to the testicle, some of that was still very apparent. You can see thickening of many of the membranes that make up the spermatic cord. The penis took a lot of time to dissect really carefully because it had a lot of edema. Eventually, I was able to find, I would say, most of the structures that we might be teaching to our medical students. They don't really come out beautifully well, but at least you can appreciate some of these structures. So that's all I wanted to share with you. And I'm happy to take any questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.